Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirampasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadiyasya Yato Anvayadiptaratas Charteshvabhignya Swarat तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मोयन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि हरि ओम् सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So welcome back to the Vedaḥ Satyaṁ series. Today's topic is Vedaḥ Moola Siddhantaः. So the English translation is fundamental tenets of the Vedic of the Veda. Vedaḥ Moola means fundamental and Siddhanta means you can say principles, tattvas, and it can also mean fundamental tenets. We are going to look into these. This is the tree of the Vedic literature, which last time we had just briefly discussed, we had introduced. This is going to be the subject matter of study, this entire course. Before we move on to today's topic, we'd like to just recap on as to what all things we had seen in the last video. So the first question was the fundamental questions. Who am I? What is the purpose of life? So we had seen the Samanya Satta, the normal life routine of a person, some vital observations. We are different from the body. There's a pursuit for happiness. There's a proclivity for perpetuity, and so on and so forth. And upon that, we there were some fundamental questions. That was, who am I, and what is the purpose of this life? This question also involves the what is the world around me? Is there a creator and interconnection? We also discussed that there's only one right answer to this and many wrong answers to it. The right answer is independent of time and space. The wrong answer is subjected to the ambient circumstances, and this is a partial representation of the real answer or an incomplete representation of the real answer. Now, to find out the answer, there was epistemology or the methodology of how we can find the answer. That is the pramanas, the 10 pramanas, pratyaksha, anuman, shabda, arsh, upaman, arthapatti, anupalabdhi, sambhava, adhiya, and cheshta. So we discuss each one of them, the pros and cons, and how like there are three principal pramanas, pratyaksha, anuman, and shabda. And then we proved how shabda is best. Because pratyaksha and anuman, the problem is they cannot speak. They have no authority over events of the past or the events of the future. There are four fundamental defects: Brahma, Pramada, Vipralasa, Karana, Patava. We'll discuss these four in great detail as we move on in this course. And then the instrumental functioning limitations, because the senses they have a limitation to it. There's a particular environment in which they can function. Otherwise, they cannot function. But Shabda, it is independent of these things. There are no such things for Shabda, and it has stood the test of time. Then we had a prelude to the Vedas. We discussed the root word, the way. Vid means knowledge, to know. Vid means to know, to acquire, and Veda means to knowledge. Or it can also mean to a person who is Vidwan. So these are like the words from the common truth, one who knows. And then we had a glimpse of the tree of the Vedic literature. In the prelude, we had also discussed, we'll have what was discussed in the prelude, we'll discuss it at great length in the next session also, when we will have an introduction to the different parts of the Veda, the different components. We'll continue it from there only. We had also briefly discussed the various branches of the tree of the Vedic literature. This was all from the last time's video, when there was Upasamhar, a few basic things, which was like, if we understand these things, then it is like we have understood everything of the last video, which was required to be understood. That was, we are not the body, but the soul, to be convinced that we understand ourselves, the world around us, ultimately fundamental truth. If you want to understand these things, that means it's Vedas. We had a glimpse of Vedic literatures, and the Vedas contain all sorts of knowledge. Any knowledge, material, spiritual, be it Paravidya or Aparavidya, the source is the Veda. Now, we'll move on to today's lecture. So today, the first thing is we are going to discuss the basic tenets of Vedic philosophy, and then we'll have a conclusion. Conclusion in the sense like the the takeaway, or you can say the essential gist of the lecture. So Mula Bhutas, Mula means fundamental, Bhutas are like concepts. You can say they are like introductory concepts. The English translation of this terminology can be roughly put as introductory concepts. The first concept which we will be discussing is the Traya vastu. Traya means three, and vastu means things. Vastu, this vastu, that vastu. And it is also a very technical term, also used in a very technical sense in the Vedic, in the literature. So, in this world, there are three types of objects. First is chitta, the soul proper, or chitta means the sentient aspect of this universe. To give an analogy, it is like how in environmental science we study the biotic components, the abiotic components of the environment, like that. A gross example for this. So chitta means the soul proper. There's a difference between soul and soul proper. That difference is not because of English. That difference is because of the Sanskrit terminology. We'll just come to that in this slide only. So chitta is a sentient being. So in this world we see there are sentient beings and there is achitta, the matter, the insentient part of this world, the nature, and Ishvara, the controller of both. In short, what Vedic philosophy discusses is about these three vastus, chitta, achitta, and Ishvara, and their interrelation. That's it. That is what is the content of the entire Vedic literature. You can also say it in English, you can put it as matter, that is achit, spirit, chit, and Ishvara, control, MSC, matter, spirit, and control of both. So these are three fundamental things and their relationship. Now, how I will give you an example. Those who can follow is okay. Those who can't follow, that is fine. We'll cover it. In the Mayavad, they say that Chitta is a part of Ishvara. And in the Mayavad philosophy, so Chitta is a part of Ishvara and it got segregated because of the Upadhi, because of the matter. It's like there is a sky and then you put a pot. So inside an empty pot. So inside the empty pot also there is sky. But now that part of sky is being separated from the whole of the sky because of the upadhi, of the obstructing object, and that is the pot. So they have this philosophy, and there is a philosophy, Advaita philosophy says that chitta, the soul, the jiva, is completely different from the Ishvara. So it is the relationship, how we see these three things. How we see in the sense is like the proper relationship, because each of them then they have flaws in that. Because how what is that which covers Ishvara? Because in Mayavad, the second part is it is all Brahman. They call Ishwar Brahman. Technically, there's a difference to it also. Okay, like because the absolute truth it manifests in three forms: Brahmeti, Paramatmati, Bhagavaniti, Shabdete. But Ishvara here means the controller. So we are considering all the three aspects: the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So not to get confused with it, that where is Bhagavan or where is Brahman in this. Ishvara here means the controller. That is the sole meaning of this topic. So how the interrelation is there, that is what the entire philosophy is. And that's what they debate. In the Vedanta also, the four Vaishnava Sampradaya, the Acharyas, in the commentary, they argue, they are establishing their own point. And even the other darshanas, the Nyaya, the Vaisheshika, the Sankhya, even they discuss it. Not explicitly, because the like in the Shad Darshan will cover it, but there are some philosophies which couldn't even mature up until this point, that they could segregate it into these three things, because some philosophies they don't even accept the existence of Ishvara. Some don't even accept the existence of the soul proper, distinct from the body. So it's a very big thing. So Traya vastu, you can understand that chitta Ishvara, chitta Ishvara. You can understand these three things is what constitutes this world. Chitta Ishvara, and their interrelation is what the entire philosophy. One who understands properly their interrelation, how the soul proper is related to the world, how is he related to the controller, how the controller is related to achitta, how one jiva is related to the other jiva, how the matter is related to the matter. So then he is a pandita. If he knows that, then he knows the sadhana and the sadhana, the proper sadhana and sadhana. Next we have the body mind construct. So the question is that soul proper. What is the difference between soul and soul proper? And like because we see we the soul is inside body, and in the last class only we had established this. And there's a different the existence of the soul is very self-evident. For example, there's one very it's a linguistic point, but still you can we can one can relate to it. That we say my body, my hand is paining, or my leg. We don't say I leg or I body. We say my body. Look what has happened to my hand, or what has happened to my stomach, abdomen. So it is mama. It is not aham. It is mama, mind. So, and it is very natural, as I had talked in the last class also, that the body continues to change, but we are different from the body. So what this body is about, the sharira, the Sanskrit term is sharira. One is a stula body, the gross body which we see. So this is the, you can say, the body which is visible to us. The hands, the legs, the limbs, and all of that. And there are two types of sense, two uh, like component of senses. One is the jnanendriyas and another is the karmendriyas. There are five jnana indriyas. Jnana means knowledge acquiring senses. That is, so that is the ears, the eyes, the nose, the tongue. That is the taste, and the skin. And there is the other five. That is the karmendriya, that through which we do work. That is the hands, the legs, the speech, the anus, and the genital. Through our through our hands and legs only we do all the activities. So genitals is for the excretory. Uh, it is for the excretory purpose and for reproduction. And reproduction is a very important component. Nowadays, it may not be for like it may be thought of by it is being mentioned. And the anus is for excretory and speech. Without speech, like that is also an integral part. Without speech, practically nothing is possible. A person, if he cannot speak, then he becomes dumb. He cannot deaf. He cannot even listen, hear. Because one who cannot utter a sound cannot even understand the sound after some time. So, of course, someone, since childhood, if someone is so, then that is the case. In other case, it may not be the case. So, this is a Stula Sharir. Stula means gross and Sharir means body. There is the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body. That is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. And the soul also, you can say. Now, the difference is that the subtle body we cannot see. We cannot see our mind. The brain is a gross aspect. That is not the mind, what we are talking about. Intelligence is even more subtle. And the ego. Ego is what we, that is what, because of which we identify ourselves with the body. Mama, mine. Intelligence means the discretory power. So we'll have this in the Sankhya part. In brief, you can understand it in this way. The difference between mind and the intelligence. So mind is the leader, the boss of all the senses. So all the senses, they acquire information and they give it to the mind. So the mind processes the information and tries to identify what is it. So there is a indeterminate understanding of the information. Then the intelligence is applied because the intelligence, it is a storehouse. So all the previous impressions they are stored in the memory. So intelligence just scans through that and then it correctly identifies that this is that, and it passes the information to the mind. Mind then accordingly dictates the senses to act. So I will give you an analogy. So in machine learning, computer science, how a machine is trained to identify based on the image whether it is a dog or a cat. So there's a training phase to it. So it understands that a dog has certain features and a cat has certain features. It gets trained to it. Training is by repetition, by abhyas. So it is scanned through thousands of images. Then it understands that if an image has a cat, then it has these certain characteristics. These are not there, then it is a dog. Suppose it's a binary classification. So, and then a new image comes, and then in the testing period, and when it is deployed, there is a when a new image comes, it tries to scan, sees the characteristics, and what it has learned, it compares to it from the knowledge base, and on that basis, it gives the inference, the conclusion, the result. And this is what it is. So even our body functions in that similar way, and that idea is also borrowed. The neural networks is inspired from the human mind. So even in our mind, whenever we see something, we're not just seeing. If there is a situation, if there is a question, whatever it is, we it is on the basis of we first see the image, we first see what is it about, and only then we apply our intelligence, and then whatever is the conclusion that is being given to the mind then dictates it to the senses. And mind is about and mind, the secondary function and the other function of the mind is to determine what is good and what is bad. So that is why mind is more important to control, because we must have also experienced that many times the intelligence says that this is not correct. So intelligence is like an advisor, but the mind is like the head, but still we don't listen to it. So, anyways, uh, this is the sukshma body, and there's a third body also, the karana sharira, the causal body. This is here where our vasanas are stored, our desires, impressions are stored. There are differences. This after every birth, the stula body, it gets abandoned. Now I'm in a human body. Next birth, I may be in an animal body or in a demigod or devta body. So my stula body will change, but my suksha body, it remains same. Through like the entire period of time which we spend in this world, throughout that the subtle body is the same. The subtle body has the impressions and everything, the intelligence, all everything is there from our first birth to our last birth. And but it gets dissolved when there is the daily dissolution is there at the end of Brahma's day. It gets dissolved in the sense it becomes unmanifest. So then the souls, all the jivas, they enter into Garbhodaksha Vishnu's body, and the jiva, the soul, is only with the causal body. That is the vasana. So it is the most subtle body. Like the subtle body is not visible, the causal body is even more subtle. It is the vasanas. It is what forms the basis for the body. Whatever desires, whatever impressions are there, that is what forms the basis of the sukshma body, and then that forms the basis of the stula body. So that is how it is. And also, it is a technical point. When we say the ears, the eyes, the senses, the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas, it is actually not referring to the gross part which we see. So when we say the eye, it is not the gross part, the eye. There's a subtle eye also in the mind. I will give you an example. Uh, there are many people who are blind, though they have eyes, but they cannot see. So the sense, that gross sense organ is present, but still the person cannot see because the subtle, because what when we see the eye, it is there in the mind. The image is created in the mind. Therefore, even if you close your eyes, you can imagine, you can see something. So if you know a person and someone utters that person's name, the person may not be in front of you, but still you can remember that person. That person's image gets created in the in your mind. So the senses are present in the subtle body, and they also get carried. They also get carried throughout the through all the births. That is there. So it is okay if someone like one is not able to follow. Basically, these three bodies, these three coverings are there, and then there are the five koshas which are there: the Annamaya kosh, the Pranamaya kosh, the Manomaya kosh, Vijnanmaya kosh, and Anandamaya kosh. The Anandamaya is the Atma. The Annamaya and the Pranamaya is Stula body. And the Manomaya is also, it is a subtle body. The Vijnanmaya is also the subtle body. The causal body is not Anandamaya. It is associated many times with the Anandamaya because the Karana Sharir is very close to this. So as I said, it is very subtle. And even when the at the end of Brahma's day, the Sukshma Shari gets dissolved. The Stula Shari is anyways dissolved after every birth. The Karana Shari remains. The even at the end of the end of the entire cosmic creation, the Suksha Sharir also gets dissolved, and there is only Karana Sharir. That is there. Actually, at a wrong point. The Sukshma Sharir at the end of Brahma's day also remains. That is there. It gets dissolved when at the end of Mahavishnu, like at the end of Brahma's life. At that time, Sukshma Sharir also gets dissolved. Only Karana Sharir is there. So Stula Sharir is the Pranamaya, Annamaya, and the Pranamaya. The Sukshma Sharir is Vijnanmaya, and the Ananda is the Atma, the soul proper. So this is what, when we say I, it refers to this Atma. Now there is also a word, term, Jiva. So Jiva is a Atma bounded by Sharira in this samsara. We are all Jivas stuck in the foreign world. So when the Atma is connected with the Sharira, it is known to this whole construct is known as what is known as Jiva. We all are Jivas. We are essentially Atma, but because we are stuck in this body, we are a Jiva. Because this distinction is not clear. many people, the Atma and the Jiva. But that is the difference is there. So someone is liberated from this world when he is in pure Atma state, Atman state. Jiva is what is there in the body. So then a question may arise that what is this samsara? Samsara means this world. And we are all stuck in this foreign world. As I said, this is a continuation from the last previous video. That stuck in this foreign world. We are eternally thriving for happiness, and this world is full of suffering. And thus we are in a foreign world because this world is insentient. It's achitta component is very prominent. And the chitta is trying to find pleasure through the matters, which is not possible. Initially, it may be, it may think so, it is happy, but eventually it finds that there is a distress. That is why the term foreign world is used. Now, how we are stuck in the samsara? Samsara means this world. What is the reason? The reason is the karma. Karma, the fruit of actions performed in previous life. We endure the reaction of every of our performed action. As we sow, so shall we reap. All the action which we do, there's a reaction to it. So if you sow a seed, water it, you will get the plant. The karma is what is the cause of pain and pleasure, because whatever we get in this life is the result of our actions performed in the previous life. And some we feel pleasure, we get pleasure, some are source of pleasure, some are source of pain. So this is the karma is the cause of pain and pleasure. Actually, it is not karma, it is a mind. Someone who is equipoised, who is in perfect samadhi, the distress or the stress, it doesn't bother it. It is the mind which is the reason. But like fundamentally, it is a mind that is the reason. Because the mind, as I said, it is what determines what is good for me, what is bad for me. But one who has attained self-realization, he understands that I just don't belong to this world. So there is nothing good or bad. It is all relativistic terms. What is good for one cannot be good for the other person. But in the Vyavharik sense, in the in the mundane sense, whatever good pious things or whatever good facilities or distress we get, the reason is karma. It is also the cause of continuous birth and thereby suffering. Because whenever we take birth, the process of birth itself is full of suffering. We forget that that's a different thing. But in the third canto of Bhagavata Puran, the 31st chapter, 30th chapter, 31st chapter, we can find the description of how much tremendous pain uh, person, the living entity has to undergo just to take birth. And even death is so painful. And then there is old age, disease, and even in between, so many sources of misery are there. So happiness is just the gap between two misery, two sort of suffering is there. And because whatever action we perform, we have to endure, we have to face, experience the reactions, no matter what it is. Even if you do something good, you have to face the karma, punya also, and papa also. So that becomes the source of continuous birth because we need a body. Only then we can experience the reactions. Atma, it doesn't experience. It is through the body only it can experience. Even pleasure also. If there is some palatable food item is there in front of you, it is only just by seeing. Of course, seeing also is a sense organ. But essentially, the point is you just can't enjoy it without using your tongue. You have to use your tongue. So therefore, this body is needed. The sharira is needed. And the sharira, it is customized according to the reactions what which a particular living entity is supposed to face. That is why there are different, wherein 84 lakh species are there. And that is why, and even in the humans body, there are 4 lakh species are there. And different people, they have a different body and they get different reactions because that is what the karma is different and they have to face it. The body is accordingly. Like someone is very much interested in swimming, he gets a body in an aquatic aquatic species. So that is how it is so cause of continuous. But it is also the reason why different living beings are in different avastha and sanas, as I was saying. Because different living entities are different. Some have performed very heinous karma. So they are just in, they just get a very heinous, like a very, very pathetic bodily condition. And some are at, they get a devta body. So they have performed very pious, huge amount of meritorious acts. So they're in different avasthas and they're in different sthanas. Sthana is, it refers to the, like someone in the higher planetary system, some are in the lower planetary systems. And avastha is in the sense that even in this on this planet, so we are all at one span, but we are all in different avasthas, in different situations. Someone is born in a very rich person in a billionaire's house, someone is born to a poor person on street. And that is different because of the karma, the reactions of the karma. That is what it is. The karma is of three types. One is a karma, doing the prescribed duties. Vikarma, doing the activities against the prescribed duties. And akarma, karma without any reaction. So karma, it can also be used in the sense that, so as one understanding is the fruit of our actions, reactions. The other is that it is there are some prescribed duties because the living entities, they are in different avasthas, in different sthanas. There are some duties which they have to perform. So if they do their prescribed duties, that is karma. If they do something which is against their prescribed duties, that is vikarma. Now, if some person he's a student, he has to study. Now he's not studying. He's doing some ugra activity, some other sort of activity. Well, that is against his prescribed duties. He will eventually fail in the examination. That is vikarma. But the problem in the karma and vikarma is, so if you do karma, you will get punya. You do vikarma, some heinous acts like killing. Some person is he does some he kills someone. That is a vikarma. That is against the prescribed duties. Then he will get the papa. But in both the cases, there is a reaction, both actions, for which reaction you have to get a body and you will experience the fruit. A karma is to do karma with no reaction. That is what is like the science. So how do you cease the birth? One solution, you don't do any activity. That is not possible. Krishna also says this in the third chapter, Jatu. Because activity is the basis. It is impossible for the living entity to remain without activities. That is what Arjuna was saying, trying to imply. But Krishna said that it is not possible. Nahi kaschichanampi jatu tishtanti akarmakrit karyati hi avasha karma sarve prakriti jair guni. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature, the guna. We covered that. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. It is just impossible. Though one may say so, but that is not possible. Even if someone tries, on the physical plane, he may not be acting, he may be ideally sitting at one place, but mentally he is doing activities. And eventually he will fail and he will engage in some activity. It is just not possible. So akarma is to do activities without being attached to it. So that is the science of doing action. And that is actually the part of Bhagavad Gita. So you have to do karma. You do karma. What is prescribed duty is there. According to your Varna and Ashram, you cover to the Varna and Ashram. But you do just the activity. Karmane evadhikarse ma phalishukalasana ma karma phalahitubur mati samvasatva karmani. You have every right to perform the action, but you should not be attached or you should not anticipate the results. You should just offer the results to the Lordship. Because karma, we cover that. There's a purpose for doing karma. So we should do action, but we should not be attached to the reaction. Why do we perform actions? There's also a question. Why karma is done? To fulfill our desires. ignorance, desire, action, sins, suffering. That is how the flow is. I will explain. As I said, when we do karma, and any karma, no action is perfect. Some deficiencies are there. So any action if you do, some reaction is involved. Even if you walk, walk over so many living entities. When we are eating, we open our mouth, so many small microorganisms we eat. In every endeavor which you do, every sort of endeavor, even while cooking, while going, while walking, or whatever activity, Papa is associated. That's why Pancha Yagya are to be done at home. There is sins are there. And because of the sins, the sufferings are there. Because when we have to endure the actions, so the suffering is there. The cause of the suffering is the sins. Our action is there, but like if we break it down further, it is the sins. The sins are done because of our actions. Why our actions are done? Because to fulfill our desires. Some desire is there, and desire will always also there. As I said, action. So some people they tend to cease doing all actions, but that is not possible. And even desire, it is just impossible. That is what like the impersonalist idea is there. And cover that at Brahman realization. Even if we go, they go in the Brahman realization. The Brahman, they cannot stay with the action, the activity. It is the nature of the chitta. The chitta has got a nature. Satchidananda. Activity is there. And you can observe it. It's just impossible to stay without action. And why the desires are there? Now, desire is not an issue, as I said. Desire, it is a natural propensity of a sentient being, but the wrong desire. And the wrong desire is because we don't know the correct desire, and that is ignorance. Because we are trying to find happiness in this world, which is not possible. And that is why ignorance. We are just ignorant of the fact. So you can understand with this with an analogy. So you are doing some karma, something which is not there, which is a crime. So you are suffering in the jail because of the sin, the crime which you did. The crime you did, and the punishment which you got is because of the action, because you killed someone. Now, why did you kill? Because you wanted money. Now that is a good thing. But you are ignorant of the fact that if you kill someone, that is a wrong way of getting money. There is a correct way of getting money also. So it is a crude example to understand that we want enjoyment. Rasa vahi saha. The nature of the soul, rasa. But we are finding it in the wrong place. And therefore, because we are ignorant of the fact, no one knows that. That is what the Paravidya is about. And therefore, we have desires, thus we do actions, and there is sin, and there is suffering in this world. Moving on to the next topic, we'll be discussing about this material world, the Bhautika Samsara, this world. Of course, we know the Ishwar is the creator, but still we can further deliberate on it. By elimination method also, and by selection method also, we can conclude that Ishvara is a creator. So there are three vastus are there. So one is the jiva, the chitta vastu. So can it be the creator? But it is not possible, for it is itself bound by the samsara. If you create something and then you get stuck in something, it's not possible. You may say, no, it is possible. We can create something, we get stuck. But the space is already existing, which wherein you create some substance and wherein you get got stuck. Suppose that space is also not there. Space in a sense you create something, you create a web. You create it inside a room, but that room is also existing. But when we say of this world, nothing was there. Then how could it create something? And even if it could create something, how did it go bound to it? And even the web, if we take that example, literally also if we take example, that is not possible because that web also who provided the material. It's not that we create our own on our own. And either way, and it's a foolish creation for that matter also. We get stuck to it. Essentially, what it means is the jiva is not the creator, for it is itself bound by the samsara. Then maybe perhaps the Prakriti itself is the creator, as the modern science also suggests that it got created on its own. But it is not possible, for it is insentient. and there is no instance of insentient objects creating on their own. At least an initial sentient instigator is required, as is being observed. There is no instance in this world. You may say plants, but plants also they have uh, there's life to it, and there is a sentient instigator also. That pollination is there, and there's copulation is also there. So it is not possible in any sense. So Prakriti cannot be the creator. Actually, it is a very big discussion. In the Darshana Shastras, there's a huge discussion. And Sankhya, in the Sankhya philosophy, of course, Vedanta also accepts that. But Sankhya, in the evolution of the Saddarshan, Sankhya, the third one, discusses how Prakriti cannot be the creator. It says Purusha is the creator, but it's a different thing. It's an incomplete understanding. But Ishvara, yes, not just by elimination method, but by logic as well. Ishvara is the creator. And also by Pramana. How? Because the Vedas says, Tadaikshata, Tadaikshata Bhusyam. The Lord glanced, and thus the world was created. So there are scriptural proofs also to it. The process of creation. We'll discuss that in great detail in the Pauranic section, the Sarga and the Visarga section. In brief, is initially there was a Pradhan, the unmanifested three modes were there. Then it was very subtle. Pradhan is like it is invisible. Then there was Prakriti, it got transformed into Prakriti. Then into Mahatattva. The Mahatattva is the Sattva. So there are three gunas are there. That is going to be the next topic. Sattva, Raja, Tama. So Sattva first got created. That is a Mahatattva, the intellect. From that, the Sutra Tattva, that is G. That is the passion, the Rajas, and the Ahamkar. That is the egoistic, the Tamas. And then the Ahankar had three components. The Sattvic, from which the mind and the 10 Digdik devas, 10 directional and the sense organ in charge. The Rajasic is the five Jnanendriyas and the Karmendriyas, which we had discussed. And the Tamasic Ahankar was the five Tanmatras and the Panchabhutas. The Panchabhutas are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These five are these five constitute the components of this world. It's a combination of these five elements which by which the world is created. And five matras are a property of each of the elements. Like the unique property of the earth is smell, of water is a taste, of fire is the form, of air is the touch, and of ether is the sound. And it is each below element has the precedent tanmatras. Like the sky has only shabda, the sound. The air has sound and touch. The water has touch, the sound, and the form. And the water, in addition to that, has taste, and earth has smell. The smell element is not present in the water or in the other bhutas. So that is how it will be covered in the subsequent class. But that is the logic of the creation, of how each and every element, the subsequent element gets evolved from the previous element. So first there was ether. And when the ether started to move in a particular direction, that is how the air got created. When the air elements, when there was a friction between them, that gave rise to fire. Because by friction, even when there's a friction, that is the source cause of the forest fire. When due to fire, the ethereal elements they begin to melt, and that is what formed the basis of water. When the water got solidified, earth was formed. So this is the creation. We'll cover it in the subsequent classes. But the process of creation of this world is this. And this is accepted in all the darshan. The details are a little different, The Sankhyites, like each and every element, they deliberate on it, on the how the property is there of each of the panchabhutas, of the tanmatras, and everything is the subject matter of the property, the characteristics, and everything is there. So when all of these things were created, this was outside of the Brahmanda. These elements were mixed together, and then the creation of the universe took place. So these elements were there. So it's like these 24 elements are there. The five tanmatras, the five panchaputas. So there is 10, the five karmendriyas, the five jnanendriyas 20, the mind is 21, the ahamkar is 22, the mahatattva is 23, and pradhan is 24. This numbering also, there's a great discussion onto it. Because sometimes it is spoken as 16, sometimes it's 8, because each of the subsequent item is derived from the precedent item, so they sometimes include in it, and the numbering can change. But 24 elements. Exactly, there are 20 if you consider Paramatma and the Chitta also, the whole part. Moving to the next topic, and when these elements were mixed together, when Brahma was born, then he further created the creation. That is a Visarga part, and this is inside of the universe. So this pictorial representation of the Brahmanda. So there are 14 planetary systems are there. The Bhumandal, it is the middle planet. Then there is Svargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka. We'll cover this in the cosmology part. And then there is a shell, the Brahmanda. And there are 7 lower planetary systems. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. And sthanas, so different entities are there. So these are higher planetary systems. Those who have done good karma, they are situated there. Those who have done medium range of karma, they are here. Here also there are 7 islands are there. We are on the Jambu Dweep, the middlemost island. There are 9 khandas to it. Bharat Khanda is there. In that there are again 9 divisions are there, in which the Bharat Varsh is there, and that Bharat Varsh is our entire planet Earth. This is the complete understanding. And so we'll have this in the cosmology section. That's just to give you an idea of that. And this entire universe is situated on the roof, on the roof of Anantashesh. Continuing the Mulabhutas. So the next topic is the 3 gunas. The Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattvam, Rajas, Tamas iti guna prakriti sambhavaha. That one pradhan, it got manifested into the 3. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So this quotation is from the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. They're just in brief seeing the characteristics. So sattva, it is the purest of the 3 modes. It is conditioned with knowledge and sense of happiness. So the Brahmanas. So when is very satisfied, and there is a sense of knowledge of we know things, and when there is a sense of happiness, that is the sattva. Rajas is attachment for attained objects and longing for the unattained. So in Rajas there is action is involved. Even in this process of creation, when Lord Brahma was born, for the process of creation, he had to engage in the Rajas. So he is situated in the Sattva, the highest mode of Sattva. But the process of creation, it naturally involves passion. And that is why the Rajas has to be get involved. And then we have Tamas, born of ignorance, binds one to madness, laziness, and sleep. So herein, there is, you can say, there's no active consciousness. Like when one is sleeping, so he's not conscious of the world around him or her. So the explanation, like in one crude example is Rajas is to walk, Sattva is to sit, and Tamas is to lie. When some action is needed, So you are in the sattva mode when you are studying in the morning, and there has to be, then you sleep. So that is the end. You enter in tama. Then you have to kind of wake yourself. You put water on your face. So that is rajas to bring back to sattva. So like that is the conditioning is there that those when we fall to tamas to bring up to the sattva we have to do some rajas. People drink coffee to stay awake. These are all rajasic ways of staying in the sattva gun, of coming out from the tamas. So you can understand these things. So everything in this world is in these three modes. You can say the higher planetary systems are in the sattva mode. The middlemost is in the rajas, and the lower planetary systems is tamas. The devas they and all of them, the higher beings, they are in sattva mode. We are in rajas. There's sattva element also. There's tamas. Everything is there. The predominant guna is rajas, and the plants, the animals, as we go down in the animal kingdom, there is an increase in the tamas, so they are unconscious. The tamas it covers the consciousness most. Rajas then like rajas is the second in the number, and sattva is like there is full consciousness, fully awake. That is how these three gunas are there. Sattva is white color, rajas is red color, tamas is black color, and so you can actually observe. We will also cover this. Right now, we are just introducing different concepts which are there, which one may hear. So we're just clarifying the definitions of these Mulabhuta. And subsequently, in the relevant classes, we'll cover each of them. And I think so, the listeners, they may get bored. They may have got bored by listening in the subsequent classes, in the future classes. But the reason is that, as I said, that we'll be repeating things. We just can't put everything at one place in one go only because it may be difficult for some of the audience to follow. It can be possible that someone is just listening it for the first time. So considering them, some people who are listening in who are well versed in these things. So it is sort of a revision for them, and also they can understand like how to present these things. Some people are there; they have a cloudy idea of it, so their concepts they can revise. They can their concepts can get clear. So and these things are to be repeated. Only then the clarity comes. More and more deeper realization can come. Next we have is the Chaturveda Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Everything about this can be found in the Mahabharata. There's a verse in Mahabharata which Vyasadeva is saying. Dharme cha arte cha kame cha mokshe cha bharatarshava yad ihana asti tadanyatra yanina hasina tatkachit. So Mahabharata, it is so vast and so very beautifully compiled by Srila Vyasadeva that everything about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, you'll find it there. And if you cannot find it there, then you cannot find it everywhere, anywhere in this world. That is what Vasudeva is saying. So, anyways, so dharma means to perform. It is a performance of one's prescribed duties. This is what sustains. This is what is the basis, and this is what should be the basis of the human civilization and of the Vedic culture on a whole, on as a whole. Because dharma, it is what regulates. Dharma is what, it is a very subtle concept and very difficult to understand. Even big Mahajanas, they have a very detailed understanding, very subtle understanding. So their activities, whatever they do, sometimes can become inconceivable because our sense of dharma is we have one level of understanding, but there are so many sukshma nuances to it, which is just impossible for a normal being to understand. So dharma is what constitutes the basis. And essentially, it means it is the performance of one's prescribed duties according to one's varna and ashram. The varnashram will be covered. It's a very hot topic actually, as has been very misunderstood, misrepresented, and distorted by the Westerners and by their subsequent people of here. The next is the Artha. Artha refers to the performance of the prescribed activities for one's sustenance according to one's qualification. Because in this world, ideally, there is like if those people who are there in that mode, as was the time in the Sattva during the Satya Yuga, that no action was performed. Because everyone, when they were born, they were in such a high level of consciousness that they will just meditate and pass their life. But now it is not possible. The degradation and in the age of Kali, and not just the age of Kali, even in Treta Yuga, it is not possible. So here in activities to be performed in our life, we need to do something for our sustenance. And so economic activities are to be done. And so this Artha Vyavastha is what is the performance of prescribed duties for one's sustenance according to one's qualification. Because so there are different professions are there. Someone is a scientist, someone is a teacher, someone is a speaker. So according to one's qualification, acquired characteristics, intelligence, and acquired qualification only, in the corresponding work only that person should engage. And it is not a forceful thing, it is a very natural thing. Even in the modern world, everyone, a doctor is a doctor. An engineer cannot perform a doctor's duty. Only a doctor can perform because he is qualified for that purpose. So that is how it is. The next is kama, fulfillment of desires and sensual pleasures. Because as I said, the happiness, the thrive, the everything, the entire endeavor is for happiness, and there are sensual desires are to there, and we cannot just expect a person to all of a sudden give all of the sensual activities. It is just impossible. Gradually, only it can be done. And in the Vedic culture, the arrangement is such that since it is not possible, and it is very much understood that it is not possible for everyone to give up sensual activities, all of a sudden they regulate it. They give injunctions for it on as to how you can enjoy. The purpose is not to encourage enjoyment, but the purpose is that the enjoyment should be done first in a very regulated way and in such a way that eventually, over a period of a few lifetimes, the person will, if he follows the procedure, will eventually his consciousness will evolve and he will give up essential activities gradually. And one day he will just completely abandon it. But there are some people who are currently their avastha is such or they're in such sthanas that is it is just not possible. And the Vedic concept is not that of a blanket binary segregation of either you follow, either you believe, or you are a believer or a non-believer, either my way or highway. They uh, they because they provide they can dovetail for every type of mental situation. They can give the injunction and they have to cater it to all the different types of living entities, from the lowest one to the highest, from Brahma to the most heinous person or the most sensual person. And accordingly, according to the person, a personalized, a customized, recommended sadhan, recommended path of life is given. It is not a standardized thing. The standardized thing is a Western concept. They standardize it. Even forget about the life, about the para aspects. Even in the apara, even the education system, modern education system, whatever the system is there, it is a standardized thing. Because and that standardization, we say it is because of the Western, but the mool root is the Abrahamic religion. They have a very standardized, very binary thing. The Abrahamic religions, if one studies their philosophy, they can understand that they have a binary understanding. Either you follow our path or there is no path. There's no questioning allowed. But in the Vedic concept, it is not. Anyone can question. The Shat Darshanas is all about that. Using Nyaya, you can question practically everything. Of course, there's a way of questioning. And once you get the answer, once there is the understanding, like once you accept the system was such that you argue, that is okay. There's a vada, there is a discussion. But once you accept your defeat, then you have to follow to that path. So that was the aim. The aim was not just mere jalpa, mere discussion, but the aim was to understanding the thing. So if one understands it, then he will adopt to it. He will take it. That is how the system was. So Kama is also mentioned. That's why we have Kama Sutra. It is not for everyone, but it is for people who require that. And as I said, this world is a product, and the Vedas are a manual. The manual has all the details of each and every possible scenario. It may not be applicable for a person situated in one sthana, in one avastha, but it is foolish for that person then to mock why this thing is there, or such gross things are there. Where some people they mock what things are being taught. It is not so. The reason is Vedas, they give everything about dharma, artha, kama, moksha, about every being who are situated in these three gunas. They cater to everything. The ideology, the methodology, the understanding behind that is that gradually they will evolve the consciousness. So whatever step they are, they will push the person to the next on the ladder. It is not that either you are at the top of the ladder or you just just get lost from the ladder. No, every different beings according to their avastha and according to their sthana, because of their subtle body, that is because of their karma, they have a different body, they have a different subtle body, they have a different understanding, and they are at different rungs of the ladder, and according to that it is given. So this is how this is the gist, this is the main thing about the Vedic concept, the Vedic philosophy. Next we have moksha, which is the target for which dharma, artha, kama, moksha is there. So there's a ethical code, there's a code of conduct is there, and within that within that code of conduct, the artha vyavastha is done, and through that artha vyavastha, whatever wealth one acquires, through that kama is done, and when one is doing this artha, the dharma, artha, kama, dharma, artha, kama, the intention is with the moksha. For some people who are at the higher ranks of the ladder, they know the aim is moksha, so they do it with a niskama understanding that they are not attached to the reaction, but they do. They follow dharma, they do artha, they may sometimes engage in kama also, in some kamic sensual activities, but the aim is moksha. For those who don't know this, but still they have faith in the words of the Vedas because they follow the instruction of the sages, of the rishis, of their superiors, of their counselors, they may not know the moksha is the aim, so they are just doing dharma, artha, kama, whatever is being told to them. But yet, they will eventually they are on the way of moksha. And the highest form of moksha is the attainment of the Mula Swarupa. Because moksha also, one is the Mayavad, impersonalist moksha. That is, you just abandon your sentientness to give up, like it is spiritual suicide, just to give up one's own individual existence, or to be situated in Brahman. Or there's a Buddhist, Bauddhic understanding also of moksha. So these different understandings are there, but the highest form of moksha, the real moksha is the attainment of the Mula Swarupa. We'll discuss this in the concerned classes. Next, Mula Bhuta, which we have, is that, as I said, dharma is what is the basis. And this dharma is what distinguishes human from animals. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. आहार निद्रा भय मैथुनं च सामान्यम् एतत् पशुभिः नराणां धर्म हि तेषाम् अधिको विशेषः धर्मेण हीन पशुभिः समानाः. There is eating, sleeping, mating, defending. These are four common activities which we do. And if someone, like, this is what actually now our life is so degraded that majority of the endeavor, if not all of the endeavor, is for these things only. For a very sophisticated and a very advanced way of eating, of sleeping, of defending, and of defending. Eating is to the food they eat, sleeping is eating and drinking, sleeping is to sleep, mating is the copulation or enjoyment of the sexual life, and defending is like defense is like, so you have a house, you construct a house. Basically, what it means is that protecting of one's life. So even if someone is maintaining a bank balance, that is that is the defense to safeguard oneself. As I said, there's a proclivity for perpetuity in a living being. That proclivity is there because the nature is such eternity. Because we are eternal, the soul is eternal. The body changes, the soul is the same. And that tendency is there to defend against any threat to life because we want to continue it. And also about storing, about like for storing food grains for eating and for having an advanced methodology of sleeping, having a very elaborate arrangement for sleeping, and having a detailed paraphernalia for mating purposes. To do it in a sophisticated way also, but essentially it is the same thing. These are the four basic needs, at least originally, if not now. Now, because now there are many more new basic needs: Wi-Fi, computer, mobile phone. But still, essentially, if you see, it is all there for these four basic things. And these four basic needs are to be fulfilled in a very natural way and in a way aligned to one's sadhya, one's life. The sadhya will cover in the next slide. In a natural way, it means that eating. Eating is a basic propensity. It's not that we are denying these four things. It is possible. No one can just, you can reduce it with practice of yoga. You can bring it to negligible levels. But in our current state, it is just not possible. But the eating is to be done in a natural way. So it is to be fulfilled in a natural way. In the sense, we should eat natural food products. There's now many chemical products are eaten. Sleeping is to be done in a natural way, not using sleeping pill. Meeting also, because now there are so many artificial way of satisfying these sexual needs and defending also. They defend in the sense the entire avastha, the society, it should be in a natural way, organic products, not artificial transformed way. So if we say artificial, there is nothing such as artificial. Everything is a transformation of the natural thing. Even plastic is a chemical combination of carbon and other elements. So it's a vikara, but it's a very dangerous vikara, not present in a natural way. Like in the ultimate sense, everything is natural. But the way the nature has provided it to us, and that in that way only, and in a natural way only, of course, transformation is done. That is true. Mining was done at that time also. There are transformation is done. We have a sugar cane, and then it was transformed into molasses, and the juice is there. And that transformation is there, but still, the product is a natural product, not in a in a wrong, unnatural way. So this is one point here to be mentioned. And the next point here to be mentioned is that it's very interesting. The majority of our time is spent in doing things to just secure these four things, which are very common. It is common in the human species and animal species. Animal species also that's what they endeavor for. But they get it naturally. They don't plan it for the future. Eating, sleeping, mating and defending. It doesn't mean that we also become animal and we do it in their way. But essentially, the point is that human life is not just contained to these four things, or it is not just contained to just make sophisticated arrangement for having these four things. There's a very higher purpose also. You may say now we are into research, into computer science. But whatever technological advancement is done, it is for, you may say it is not for the humanity, but it is as good as saying as extended sense gratification. And what it basically means is that to ultimately it is to facilitate the sensual enjoyment of people in a more sophisticated way, in a more enhanced way. That's it. That's what it means. But life has a very higher purpose also. We'll continue this topic. Varna-asrama. चातुर्वर्णं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्म विभागशः तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विधि कर्तारम् अव्ययम्. So this is a shloka from Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 13th text. These four varnas, they are created by the Ishwar himself on the basis of Gunakarma Vibhagasham. The four Varna, Brahma, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. The division is based on the individual's nature, characteristics and likings. There's a discrimination based on nature of work performed, but there is also a fundamental equality for all. Or there is same soul in varying bodies due to different karmas. This extends to all living entities beyond the human beings as well. So as I said, these four intellectual classes which is there, these four classes which are there, the intellectual class, the administrative class, the business class, and the labor class. This division is on the individual's nature. There are some people who are into intellect. They are into being professor, teacher, scientist. Some are into administration, into defense, into police. Some are into business class, agriculture, and some are into labor class of being as employers. And this is based on the individual nature, characteristics, and likings, not just on birth. We'll have that. And there's a full-fledged distinction is there, but there's also fundamental equality because the same soul is there. And this equality is not just for human beings, it is for all living beings. Because in some religions, a concept is there that there's no soul in the animals, there's no soul in the plants, only humans are there. But the Vedic understanding, the Vedas say that each and every there, from plants or microorganisms, everywhere there's a presence, soul is there. And fundamentally, there's an equal treatment. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Kavihastini Chunicha Vasha Pakija Pandita Samadarshina. That equal treatment is there. But of course, if your friend comes in front of a person, the self-realized person will greet him. But if there is a snake, he will kill the snake because the snake will bite. So the treatment is different. But the understanding is there. That same soul is there in the snake's body. The same soul is there in the cow's body. The same soul is there in the human body, in the person's friend. But there is a distinction. So there is no that leftist idea. Now there is a leftist, there's a left and there's a right. But the Vedic understanding is that on a Vyavahara sense, there is a right wing because distinctions aren't there. But on the fundamental sense, it is left because there is common. There's a common soul in each body. And this is what the spiritual communism is. But on the Vyavahara, there's a difference. Even in modern setting, we can understand it. The peon and the CEO of a company is not treated same. The peon is given a, I mean, the salary is there, or perhaps he may get a servant quarter. But the CEO's residence, what is being provided to him by the organization, is not same as the peon's servant quarters. There's a difference is there, and that difference is natural. In the Olympics also, there's a distinction. The award is given to the first person, to the second person, to the third person. and they also stand at different level. It is not that equal treatment is given to everyone. Of course, there's a distinction. There's a common understanding that the participating certificate is there, but there's a distinction based on the qualities which an individual manifests. These were the four Varnas, the four ashramas of Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. The duration of the life was divided in different phases according to the need of that age, with the aim of gradual evolution of consciousness towards spiritual goal. Brahmacharya is followed by everyone by the age of up until the age of 25. That is what is there of a king, a prince, or a brahmana's son, or a vaishya's son. Everyone the brahmacharya is performed because that is the student life. That is where the learning is there. The brahmacharya has to be maintained. After that, the grihastha ashram one enters, and there was arthik economic activities which the one does sensual activities, and after that, once one is done with all the duties, there's retirement, there's preparation for vana sannyas, and then at the old age when the desires are fulfilled, senses are the body is purified by doing karma in the grihast and in the brahmacharya vanaprastha ashram, then there is sannyas. So there's a gradual evolution of the consciousness with towards a spiritual goal. Now the division in the Varna is yasya lakshanam proktam pumsa varna viyanjatam yad anyatrapi drishyata tateneva vinidrishyate. It is on the basis of the characteristics and not just on birth. Someone in the Vaishya body shows Brahmana traits is treated as a Brahmana, and the vice versa is also true. Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of all the Vedic literatures, he was born to a fisherwoman, but now he's a compiler of all the Vedic knowledge, right? All the knowledge which we have, all the Shastras which we have, he's a compiler. So that is to be understood. And this setting, this entire structure, socio-economic structure, caters to the psychological needs of different people situated in different avastha and different times. And it is done in such a way so as to graduate with the aim of gradual evolution of the consciousness of the spiritual way. And it is customized according to a individual's level and not a standardized way. It's been just thrown off just to be performed. So it was a very holistic system back then, which was misunderstood. There is no word as caste. It is Britishers, they got this word. It was the word which was introduced by them. They did this in the 20th century. That was conducted by them, and they had this uh, understand the segregation of the other backward castes, the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, and all this census was done by them. So they created these fault lines. It was not there originally. Because the word which we have, that is the the varna and the ashram. Kula is there, but there's no caste word is there. The treatment is on the basis of the characteristics, on the nature of a person, which a person exhibits, and not on the birth. The system was, it got degraded, unfortunately, by the influence of Kali Yuga. And when the invaders were attacking us, so people belonging to a particular Varna, they felt that because we now have to protect, so they become very protective mentality. And thus they just reduce it to only those people who are born in the particular Varna, only then, because it's very natural in the times of emergency to become protective of what we have. That's why Brahmanas they had. But of course, the initial reason is the fall down of the intellectual class, because they just become so very much attached to it, and they reduce it to those who are born the Brahmanam through a Brahmana body, only they can become Brahmana. But that was not the system. It got misunderstood. A science, it got degraded, but that doesn't mean that the science itself is problematic. The people who followed it, they got degraded. If your hand there's some problem in some infection in the hand, you don't cut your hand, you treat it. It doesn't mean your hand is useless. That is how it is to be understood. Next, Mulabhuta, we have is the sadhana and sadhya. Sadhya is a goal to be attained or obtained, and sadhana is a means. Any person can apprehend that he, the soul, is different from the body. Upon further inspection with sharper intelligence, the person will conclude that this world, which is full of suffering, is actually not its natural habitat, but rather a foreign place for its very core, which we have already covered. So, it's a very foreign area, place for the soul proper, for the he, the I person. And thus, the goal becomes getting liberated from this world, and that is what is the moksha, the fourth Purushartha. And there are three renowned methods for this: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Yoga means to connect, and each path has many subdivisions. Because Karma Yoga is also Sakam Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Jnana Mishra Karma Yoga, Karma Mishra Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. There's Ahituki Karma Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga also is. There are parts of there. We are not covering that herein, but there are three parts are there. The first is a Karma Yoga, the performance of prescribed activities to acquire pious karmas and thereby get promotion to the higher activities. Now, actually, the purpose of Karma Yoga, why Krishna had introduced it, was why Ishvara introduced it, was for purification. As I said, that it is impossible for the person to remain without performing any activity. Some activities to be performed, and to purify oneself is what is the aim of karma. But there is also a karma kanda theory wherein they perform punya karmas and they get promotion to the higher planets. So therein they diligently follow all the duties with the aim of attaining promotion to the higher planets. But actually, karma yoga is to purify oneself. Because up until one is not qualified to renounce karma, he performs karma without being attached to the results of the karma, and thereby, once he is qualified, he then renounces karma. Then is vijnana, cultivation of knowledge, meditation, and renunciation in order to get rid of this world. Because jnana is a tool through which we can cut our attachment to this world and we can develop attachment for the paroksha, for the other world. It is through jnana. Through knowledge only this is possible. Other, it is not possible. And jnana means it is the cultivation of knowledge, renunciation, tyaga, meditation, dhyana, tapasya also. The particular yajna and tapasya, these terminologies we are not covering here. We'll cover it in the next class, which will be on Veda Pravesh, on when we will be introducing the Vedas. Therein we'll cover it because that is a part of the Karma Kand, the Jnana Kand, the Upasana Kand. It is part of that. Then we have the Bhakti Yoga, worshipping the deity with unalloyed, pure motives in order to attain their lordship's eternal service. Bhakti Yoga is the highest yoga. Why? Because scriptures say so. And Krishna also establishes this Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga leads one to Jnana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga leads to Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga also has many divisions. There is a Sakam Bhakti and Nishkam Bhakti. But here the highest form is the Nishkam, without any. It's not a transactional behavior that I will worship you and then you fulfill these. Here's the wish list and you fulfill these wish lists. It's not like that. The way is that it is performed with unalloyed pure motive of just pleasing, of just engaging in the lordship, in the deity's eternal service. This is the highest sadhana. So these are the three different sadhana. The sadhana is chosen on the basis of the sadhya, the goal to be attained. If the sadhya is promotion to the swarga, then accordingly there is a sadhana. It can be done through bhakti also. It is not just through karma. Because karma, there are very difficult. Yeah. That's why the karma and jnana also has many problems. Karma, though it is easy, though it may seem very prevalent and very predominant, there was a time when karma was very prevalent. The karma mimamsa was very prevalent in India, Bharat. But the problem is that the yagyas and the different procedures which are to be performed, the rituals which are to be performed, if there is any mistake in that, then you won't get the fruit. And jnana also, it is very difficult in this age. Tapasya, cultivation of knowledge. We have a very small life, alpa ayusha. Alpa means little, nice is life. And it's just not possible. So the need of the age is the bhakti yoga because that means dovetailing and karma and jnana also becomes angas, the limbs of bhakti. And therefore bhakti yoga, it is not just by elimination, but it is also when one studies the science of bhakti yoga, one understands that it is very simple and it is all encompassing. Karma and jnana also become angas of bhakti. Because in karma yoga, there's always a risk of doing some error and then failing to attain the desired goal. And jnana also is very difficult. There's also another way of Ashtanga yoga, that is also practicing of yoga to attain siddhi. So that is, doing the Ashtanga yoga, yama and niyama pranayama, but that is with the aim of attaining siddhis, of controlling, to travel anywhere. That is there. This is also one way, one path. So the selection of the sadhan is based on the sadhya, and on that basis, the Varna-ashram is there. The Varna-ashram, it facilitates all the three: karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. Everything is facilitated. Some Varna or some ashram may have maybe more favorable for karma yoga or for jnana yoga, and also depends on the individual. And that is why the main thing is the ashray to guru. Because if we on our own refer to the scriptures, it is impossible to understand. It's impossible to understand of the proper sadhana, of the proper, even the proper sadhya. For some, if we just go through the Vedas, the conclusion may be that perhaps the perfect sadhana is just to attain Swarga. But that is not so. Or even if someone understands moksha, to go out of this world, but what exactly out of this world? So that is why it is not through these Vedas, but it is through the Vedic scriptures, through the Guru, under the shelter of Guru. So now we'll conclude the talk, the essential takeaways. So the Vedic concept is promoting beings situated on different rungs of the ladder to the next level. That is a gradual elevation of the consciousness. So as I said previously also, it is not just a blanket binary separation of my way or highway. No. Beings are situated in different avasthas due to their karma, and the aim is the gradual elevation of the consciousness. This is the philosophy. On this basis, the social model, the Varna-ashram, which was there, prevalent, is based upon. So this is the Vedic concept. And there is another concept which I would like to introduce now, and that is what like the main conclusion is. So we are just introducing it, then we will develop upon it further into the talks of the modern setting. Of so this Varnashram, this Vedic concept was there, which like I've just briefly mentioned a few tenets of that in this lecture. So this was the prevalent system back then. Now we'll to see the modern advanced society. So it is considered the society at present is considered to be modern, advanced society compared to the old one, archaic society. There are three things which we should actually consider, and thereby we can actually redefine or we can reconsider the whether we are advanced or not and redefine the term modern. So the three things are time, effort, and price. So all the modern advancement which is done previously it would take days to, let's say, travel from one state of India, from North India to South India, to take months, or from East India to West India. Now, it is a matter of couple of hours. Previously, we couldn't communicate to people on the other at the other side of the planet. Now we can do. We can within seconds we can share data, and so many advancement is done for washing clothes. There is a washing machine, there is a refrigerator, and there are so many electronic items, gadgets which are there. The time is that all this modern advancement, this paraphernalia which is being developed, is at what cost? Is the three factor is the time is the amount of time which we have to give. That is to say that an average person works for 8 hours a day out of the 24 hours. So that is one third of his day, and we can just calculate the number of hours and how much percent of his life, his total life duration goes into this. And the travel is also there now. In India, even traveling to the workplace is also a big thing. And slowly it is, so is the case in the Western countries also. So one is the time. How much time we have to put in for creation of this paraphernalia and for the maintenance of this paraphernalia. Creation is the research of, as we advance in the technology, as a new and new version, the faster and faster GPUs, processors, phone, better versions of camera. So what time we are putting in, what effort we are putting in it, the energy, that is a mental energy, the physical energy, and the resources which is being put, not at an individual level only, but as a collective level also, what amount of human resource and other resource we are putting in it. And third is the price. The price is not the monetary price, but it is the price is refers to the environmental factors, the other living entities, because we have very drastically disturbed the ecology of this planet. Sufficiently, we have disrupted, we have distorted it in last two decades, in the last 2-3 centuries of the industrial revolution, and it is the degradation is growing at an exponential pace. There are talks about environmental conservation of all these talks. In between, there is some upheaval is there, but still we are on that way only. Like it is, there's no progress is there. Even the buzzword and the technology of the day, the artificial intelligence, the GPU processing which is required at the backend, at the backend, that also has so much of cost, so much of gallons, millions of liters of water is required, and so many things are there. So this modern development which we have done, it is at a very, very heavy price. How much time we are putting in it for the maintenance of these gadgets, for the creation of these gadgets. These things are also to be considered. We don't consider that, we like there are two types of people. So one is that they have never thought about this, and the other may think that, okay, so what is the problem? Like that is so at this point comes the sadhya. What is your sadhya? what do you want to do? If someone wants to engage in this thing, then like there is no problem because everyone has the free will. They can do whatever they want. But that Vedas, the philosophy is for the intelligent person, someone who is thinking, who thinks independently, for a thoughtful person. When he thinks that if he compares what the system was there back then and the current system, there is sophistication, there is a lot of comfort, but there is a cost to it, a huge, heavy price to it. Life has become very fast paced. The traveling and even like everything, it has become very much inflected with the raja, rajogud. But that was not the case back then. In the Chaturmas, you know, things would like people would, the ascetic people, the saints would, they would stay at one place and like that. So essentially, the point which I'm trying to make is life was slow back then. There was purpose, there was meaning to different, to all the phases of life. And it is not just with respect to the sadhya, the moksha aspect, even with dharma, artha, kama. For example, now there are so many relationship problems. Work-life balance has become such an issue because the work, it doesn't, the entire system which is being created, the employment, the economy, it doesn't consider relationship. There's just some gross consideration also, if at all it is there. The psychology is also at a gross level, the psychology what we have. But back then, the system, as I said, that there was a brahmacharya, the ashram, and then there was a grahastha ashram, then vanaprastha, and then sannyas. And it was divided with respect to the need of that time. In the childhood, the brain is very sharp; it can absorb anything. So that was the time for studies. Then there is youthhood, so people can continue the brahmacharya ashram. That is, of course, the option is there. But those who, majority of people, they would enter the grahastha ashram. And then there was a vanaprastha, and then there was sannyas. And it was also regulated. The enjoyment was not just free flow enjoyment, but there were regulations, there were duties were there, with the aim of gradual elevation of the consciousness. So this is how the system was. It was the consideration. There's a theory, and then there is a practical. Then there is so you have a blueprint, and then you make the building. So when you are making the building, the better, the more detailed, the more considered after the blueprint is, so there is no doubt in the building. Things are known, and it is also on the experience of the people. So that is like the one more thing we have just introduced the concept, the modern society, and this understanding of the progressive world, because the Vedic concept is a cyclic concept. There's no progress. There's, there's a cyclic thing. There's a rise and there is a fall. Then there is a rise and there is a fall. What we now say is not modern advancement, but it is degradation of the consciousness. Water, food, and air. These three are ingredients of our body. We eat food, we drink water, and we consume air. Prana. We have polluted all the three. What we are eating. So many health problems are there. Just as I said, for the four basic things: eating, meeting, sleeping, different things. So much efforts are to be done, and each of them is polluted. People can't sleep. Many people just can't sleep. There are so many mental disorders are there. These things were unheard 500 years back. Why? This is to be considered. And is it that they didn't enjoy, they were just backward people? No, that is what the modern people they have presented. They have whitewashed everything, but that was not the case. And there are now so many beautiful research is there, documentaries are there. Those who are interested, they can check. Here also we will cover it. We're just introducing the topic. You can think about on this, and you can like also see refer to the top uh, resources and see what life was at that time. So therefore, vichara, that is introspection, contemplation, that is required. We should observe things. We should not just take it. This economic arrangement which is there, it's a big a big nonsense. Only few people at the top they get benefited. Everyone is into the job cycle. 60% of people in Mahabharata they said that they were into the entrepreneur mode. That was a prevalent system. Now everyone is in the job model. Job model, there's so many problems to it. And only the males were engaged in the job model. Then it is there. You can check it in the history in the Industrial Revolution. So the other half, females, they were at home and they had their own home duties, which are also very essential. Mother is the first guru of the child. And so many activities, so not just the household chores, but there are so many other activities also. So many business entrepreneurship model also women would contribute to. Not in the way in which we think, but they had according to the capacity. So, but they couldn't be taxed because they were not in the job model. So, to bring them just for inflating the GDP temporarily, that that feminist cult was grown, and gradually the female population was also in the work. Now, the problem is what is the problem? You may ask. The problem is fertility rate has gone down in all the Western countries. You can check it on the internet. Fertility rate is practically degraded just for temporary GDP growth. They did this social movement. They got all the females on board on a job model, and now their fertility rate is gone. Now they are promoting even in China. Now they are promoting one child policy was there. Now they are promoting more than one child. Now they are coming to India because now in India still the fertility rate is still maintained. That is only for next 10 years. Like if the way things are going on, if it doesn't, if it continues the way it is, then there will be a demographic problem here also. So there are many things are there, many considerations are there, the social aspects, the psychological aspects, and there is a divine touch also to everything in this Vedic model. So this is the main thing. As I said, that conclusion also will have a special introduction. So you can think on this matter. We will continue this in the future classes also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर् गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानावस्थितः तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुषुरसुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।